Every student does.
Emergency
Thank you.
secondary and
Something
elementary
relief.
relief fund.
I need to hear like 15 more times because I just need to be reminded.
But it's the CARES money.
Elementary and secondary
Let me see
emergency
the paper.
relief fund.
There you
Mark
go.
my thing.
Esser. ESSER.
Thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
Okay, sorry.
And so as we do that, remember that I wanted to remind everyone that there are some guiding documents that ISB has given us. One would be the first that I talked about last week, the return to in-person lessons from the pandemic, which reminded us to remember that human welfare comes first. With the resources and considerations for district leaders, they focused on financial, wanted us to remember to align our plans to the school improvement data, to use the P20, their words, not mine, the P20 data. I can't tell you what P20 stands for. They call it the P20. They wanted to remind us to layer or braid the ESSER 1, 2, and 3 funds with a mandatory 20% going to learning loss. And this is required as we get into facilities because it'll help us understand what we can and cannot do, right? They also said to consider using funds for new construction, renovations, or the acquisition of property. Make sure that we address cleaning, sanitation, air quality, and social distancing. Examples that they gave us included classroom additions, new buildings, HVAC renovations, outdoor seating, bathroom renovations, and cafeteria renovations. They did say that we could address transportation, instruction, but that's not this conversation. Equity and inclusion, this is a facilities conversation. So I thought it was important that I remind everyone what was in the P20, in the return to in-person. And with the P20 council guidance, when we looked at the data from Small Insights and the Denman Group, along with our old district improvement plan, when you look at their 12 focus areas, 5 seem to emerge. It's really 6, but I merged one. So based on that, it would be Chapter 1 that said to support enrollment, retention, and re-engagement with communication initiatives for academic progression. That would be if you decide to maybe expand your pre-K or expand your alternative programs, that falls there. To build individualized student fact-based academic and behavior diagnostics, we're doing that with the additional people that we've hired to help us analyze the data. The summer camps, which is Chapter 4, providing out-of-classroom learning experiences. What will be important for us tonight would be Chapter 7, where they ask us to address mental wellness and trauma-informed issues. And then increase Chapter 10 and 12, increase flexibility of secondary, post-secondary environment to accommodate for other responsibilities, and what that would look like would be expanding your CTE programs. So based on those set of guidances, I've also provided for you, back on October 21st in 2018, we had another facilities committee meeting, and the board did some brainstorming. I have provided you a copy of, did you guys forget yours in there?
Mm-hmm.
How did I know? And I brought a couple extra copies. I only have 2 more, so you can send me. I gave them to you the room next door.
I'll share with you.
Okay.
We'll play it.
All right. So this is a list of priorities that you as a Board of Education had back then. And you will see that there is a section that says facilities. I gave you the summary sheet, but then I also gave you the detailed notes behind them in case you'd like to reference those as you make those decisions. What did I hear you saying? I heard you say that pre-K was a priority for you. I heard you say that expanding alternative was a priority for you. I heard you say that we needed to fix HVAC systems in Northridge, Southview, and Mark Denman. I heard you say science labs. I heard you say food science facilities. Those are just some of the things that I heard you saying that fit and align easily into your ESSER. Or could
And
fit.
mental health services.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Mental health services. That was a big one.
I think building utilization was an area that we had talked about too, that some of our buildings are not utilized.
Yes, Mr. Henderson, that was a great point, and actually that emerged on your, as a part of your small insights, your staff did mention the need to consolidate buildings or to better utilize buildings. Was there a question?
Where? Usage, utilization.
November 18.
So now we look for the board to give us a little direction as to where you would like us to focus based.
Well, as far as building utilization, if we started with that way it might kind of help steer the ship a little bit. Do we have, I'm sure we do have buildings that are underutilized, maybe there are things that we're gonna need to, are there buildings that we're gonna need to have special attention to in order to be able to utilize them? Do we need to make decisions about some structures? Or maybe that's a different piece of the conversation.
That's a very good point. So what that organically leads to is a conversation about Garfield.
Okay,
Prior to this, there was discussion about, based on health, life, safety issues and concerns. I know we had an issue with the plumbing, and I remember just being so well able to do, I won't say what I said, but they got what I meant. The plumbers were able to explain to me in layman's terms what we really needed to do to fix it. But you guys wanted to know, like, what would it take approximately to bring that up to code? Not to make it a 21st century school, but what would it take to bring that up to code if we were to keep it? And then there was a conversation about other programs wanting to come into our district, like Circle Academy, and if we would give that space to them and would they partner with us in fixing it. But Garfield was one of the buildings that come to mind when we talk about maximizing or better utilizing our space. Isn't that right, Mr. Dowles?
Absolutely, we talked about Garfield and if we needed it or if we could close a building like that, but we also talked about the difficulty in closing it.
And when we talk about that, and you looked at it, what was the bottom line on the dollars?
If memory serves me correctly, Mr. Truex, I believe it's $9 million
For Garfield alone?
for Garfield alone.
And, can I ask Mr. Truex?
Please.
What are we talking about for $9 million?
We're talking about $9 million for Garfield.
Come on up to the podium, Mr. Truex.
Please,
Are
we
te-
want to see you
are
and
we-
hear
I'm
you.
sorry, I didn't mean to put you
Are
on
we
the
te-
spot.
Oh, no, he knew
I
he was
just-
Are we
coming.
being,
No.
are we televising
You talking about
this?
$9 million,
Yes.
I need to see
Are we
your smile face.
televising? Yes.
We are.
I would assume we should be.
Yep.
We'll assume yes.
yes, what, I missed that.
Televising.
If not, just for us in the room.
Mr. Truex, I'll start off with this. Knowing that when you say I know there were some issues before, there were some things that had to be dug out, and when you're talking about plumbing issues, building issues, I guess this will be my second question. We have put money into that building before. Now, was that just for the fire?
That was just for the fire. Really, nothing's been done since then.
Okay,
To speak
okay, that's where I want to start.
There's a lot that would be done, but I'll try to simplify it for that amount of money. It would be new windows, new HVAC for the entire building, It would be a lot of plumbing because we're having a lot of issues in the building itself. It would be remodeling some of the classrooms, but as far as flooring, different things like that in the building, no. The biggest majority of it will go to mechanicals. What it would be exactly is the building itself, okay, let me start from the beginning. HVAC, windows, some tuck pointing. We have a lot of bricks that are falling off of the building. We need to do something with the gym roof. We need to do something with the trusses that are in the gym. We have a lot of work to do in the kitchen. We have a lot of plumbing issues throughout the building. We have a lot of walls that are leaking in the basement. There's a lot of infiltration of just moisture in general, just because it's below grade. We need to replace the fire system. There is some electrical work that needs to be done. It's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of more than that, but it's just smaller things. But the HVAC, because the standards are changing, and they're changing quickly because of COVID, really. There are things that they've been wanting to do, the government, state, whoever, for a long period of time, but they're really pushing this stuff through on a fast track. So indoor air quality is huge in our buildings today. And it's gonna progressively get more strict, I should say, stringent. So,
I appreciate it, thank you.
I'm sorry, I
didn't
can't.
have to- No, you didn't have to do it all.
I've
But I
got, I
guess
could
my-
read several pages of it. I'm just trying to give you a
Yeah,
simplified answer.
so Dr. Geddes, student population size of Garfield. Mr.
Gar-
210.
210?
210.
How much?
210 students?
Okay,
I've got 192.
Mr. Hart, while you have the population, what's also the population of Edison and Liberty
200,
for both?
approximately 200
did you say 200?
Garfield, Edison, Liberty, Southwest K to 4, and you have Mead Park with about 275, 280 right now, but with Fair Oaks doing some demolishing, I predicted they'll probably be down to 250.
And what do we have at Northeast?
Edison and Liberty is
Northeast,
supposed to.
I think 310, yeah, 3.
So that would be our second largest elementary school?
It is,
And, I mean, only second to Mark Denman.
correct,
And they still utilize the gymnasium for the cafeteria.
that's correct.
And they have K-6 there.
What's,
They are K-6.
Okay.
what was Southwest?
Southwest was K4 200.
200?
For Southwest,
Without pre-K.
that's without pre-K.
And Mark Denman, 7,
650, 660.
650? What was Mead Park?
It was, they.
275.
Yeah, but
Mr. Truex, question for you.
250
Sure.
with
Okay,
the-
when you're talking about air quality and stuff, okay, HVAC systems,
Northeast is
okay,
the second largest.
What was it?
Northeast would be a priority on your list.
10, 310.
But they've
I mean, if
got
you're gonna keep
6.
Northeast open, you
310.
have to do something
310.
about the
They got
HVAC.
6.
We
Yeah,
will,
K through 6.
Okay,
without a doubt.
I mean, but you have to do something about that to keep that building.
Yes. Along with maybe a couple of others. KDBA, we have to do something there. I don't know how this is gonna be in the next few years, but I'm hearing from a few people that we're actually gonna we'll have regulations and be inspected on our indoor air quality.
Yes, but I mean, when we were talking about Garfield and Northeast, we were talking about them 5 years ago.
Yep.
So if we were to put $9 million into Garfield, we would have like you said, it's not a state-of-the-art building. It would be I go static. It's good for now, and we wouldn't have future problems for a little while. Right, because we would have plumbing, we'd have HVAC, we'd have sealed windows, we'd have a roof that works. We would have all the major infrastructure things that would be, needed to be done, would be done to that building.
Except for the fact that you can't deny all of the plumbing that's below grade and below the concrete and that's.
Problematic.
It is.
Isn't that problem bigger than the school district because of the way those pipes join with the city pipes, and doesn't that make it a much bigger issue?
I'm talking more about the plumbing that's underneath the concrete that was laid when the building was built. And, just by putting new fixtures and stuff in a restroom or kitchen or wherever.
We're not even talking about that.
I'm not talking
other
about under
issue.
the stage.
So the 9 million doesn't get us, because that's what I'm trying to I'm going, okay, a couple million for HVAC, I'm going, for me to get the 9 million, am I putting $4 million into plumbing?
You're putting-
That's what I'm looking for out of you here, is just give us
Okay.
an idea. Okay, yeah, well, if it is, then
Well,
I
I
wanna
mean-
know.
Actually, you're gonna put around 2 million in your HVAC alone.
Yeah, I got that,
And
but
you're
I'm
gonna
looking
be-
at what my plumbing number is gonna be, is it
Yeah,
gonna?
it's gonna be up there a little bit too. It's
Yeah.
gonna be high.
I guess the question that we would ask you is, how much did it cost to do Edison, which looks like about the same kind of school? What did it cost for new windows, new electrical, new HVAC, all of that stuff? Not saying that the buildings are necessarily comparable, but it didn't cost 9 million to do that, did it?
They're not comparable, but we still have some work to be done at Edison, and we're still currently working on some things there. You really can't, those are not apples to apples on those two buildings,
HVAC is not apples to apples?
not on those two buildings. It's just
Because of what
not.
had to be done.
It's
to fix things.
there's design differences, it's just not the same. I don't have a complete breakdown with me this evening on Garfield, but I will have it for you soon. What I can tell you is, yes, a lot of your money is going to mechanicals, at least half. And the rest of it will go architectural, which is cosmetics and different things of that nature. We have problems. Currently, we have the stage propped up because it fell about 8 inches. So there's a lot of things that need to be done. I mean, that whole stage needs to come out. It's just more than what you see when you walk through there. There's some issues even with the gym. We've tried to put the gym ceiling back together, and it still falls down because it's dry rotted so bad that it's just falling out. We've tried to reattach it, it still comes out. So
And Mr. Truex, and don't we use the gym for
Lunch.
a lunch area as well there?
Yeah, we
Is it
do.
a dual-purpose room?
we do,
Okay.
So even if we put the 9 million in, we still have that problem underneath the stage. That's not our problem.
That's never gonna go away.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
That's not going away.
Okay, hold your point. Mr. Hart, what's the maximum number capacity? You may not have that with you.
I already know I don't, but.
For every elementary building,
Where at?
every elementary building.
Mr. Truax.
I know you told me,
I can tell you like Southwest and Liberty at one time.
I mean, you told us how many are there now, but I want to know,
430.
They've had over
And I mean, that's pretty tight, but 400.
400.
For every building?
Southwest and Liberty both.
Edison?
Edison's.
Edison, Garfield, probably 300, 325. If you go back to Mead Park's similar to Liberty and Southwest, so it's right at 400. And I would say you're probably pushing the capacity at Northeast at where we are now, which is like 310.
okay.
I have those.
And Denman,
numbers,
at one
but they're
time, we
in
had
that
over 800
folder over
students
there.
Dr. Gunn, if that-
Yeah.
Okay, so we pretty well know our condition of Garfield. Where does that,
Can I ask Mr. Truax, do you recommend that we spend $9 million at Garfield? You knew it was coming, I don't know why you ready
yeah,
for
I
it.
know, but let's get to the question, let's go.
Mr. Truax,
It would just be my opinion.
that's what I asked for.
Well,
Is that the answer?
Shoot,
Just
that
hold
was
it up
quick.
for us.
I wouldn't do it. I think that you're better off spending your money on something else. I mean, if you look at it, there's 16 classrooms there, which, you know, it doesn't give you very much. You can build 16 new classrooms for about $5.5 million.
Okay.
So you have brand new or you want to remodel. And if you were gonna do that,
That's what I'm saying.
I'll just put it out there, if you're gonna do that at Garfield, close it down for at least a year, year and a half, gut it. Completely gut the thing and spend 10, 12 million dollars if that's what you wanna do. But, you know, if you really wanna do it right, that's how you'd have to do it. Rather than just bring it up to modern day code.
And it even still isn't there at the end of the day.
It's, yeah,
It's
and
close,
not to mention the
but-
fact that, you know, it has about the smallest amount of property with any school we have. It really does. I think we have 14.9 acres at Southwest. You know, there's a lot of room there. Northeast has about 11 acres. There's a lot of room there. There's, you know, several schools that have a lot of property around it.
Mr. Truax, could you, just another question. Tell me about the ADA and the steps at Garfield, because I think as you walk in, you either have to go down or up. How is that compared to our other schools? And being able to have multiple uses for the buildings, things like that? I mean, is this something we need to consider, or is it a problem?
And let me add on to that one if I can, Shannon.
Sure.
When we were talking about redoing Cannon after all the problems, because once you put in so much money, then don't you have to make it ADA compliant, have
Yes.
elevators and that kind of stuff?
You do. You do. You absolutely do. There's a threshold. So once you reach that threshold, you're done. And that's something that the board can't decide. That's just you know, it's a code.
Right.
And that
do you
$9
know how
million is over the threshold, if I recall from our conversation before.
What's the threshold?
It's, I don't know what it is, but I know
That
that $9 million is
$9
over the
It's
does
threshold.
not include an elevator or anything for that building.
Right.
Okay, so we would need to be looking at that, though.
You would need to. But that's where you start getting into that higher number. The $9 million is to bring that building up to modern day code, like to make it nicer than it is. But windows, you know, I mean, they leak severely. Ask any of the teachers that are there, they'll tell you.
And the $9 million will still not alleviate the issues of ADA compliance,
No.
the lack of parking, the lack of playground space, the lack of a cafeteria, kitchen area. It won't address any of those concerns that you have at Garfield School.
No,
And we care about this because Garfield is a neighborhood school. I mean, we care about the students, we care about the families, we care about the kids that can walk to that building. And so we really care about that, and that's why we're wrestling with this decision, because, you know, that's important to us. It's part of what makes our district, you know, the way that it is, a family. And we have to also balance the financial responsibility for being able to make this the right kind of building for our families. So that's what's underlying this decision.
And the responsiveness to our taxpayers.
Yes, exactly.
Especially when we have
Of course.
buildings that are, when we just talked about 5 elementary schools that are underutilized.
Yes.
And let's not forget that we closed Cannon School many, many years ago. And, you know, that's still a need that this board should address in respect to what is the end result of Cannon School. You know, I don't want to see any board, this one or in the future, to sell that property to where it becomes vacant and the city then has to be responsible for the demolition. I think somewhere along the line, the Board of Education has to make a decision on that as well.
Well, I think not only that, you know, when you take into consideration, like Shannon was saying, you know, the community, and I know it's a community school. My daughter went to Garfield. But when you look at the total picture of what we can do And what I, like Mr. Truax said, it will not give us a state-of-the-art building. And that's what I want to see for all of our students, to be able to be in a building that is state-of-the-art that they can utilize. And so if that means that we have to go and improve on another building so that it is state-of-the-art for those children, then that's what we need to look at. Because education will not be what it was before COVID. We all know that. It will not look the same. And so therefore, we've got to look at the new picture. We got to get the mirrors to look at the new picture as to how it's going to look. And that means that we've got to make sure that everything, facilities, whatever, no matter what will happen next year or the year after, that we're ready to go. And if we're sitting talking about doing the same old thing and not getting any new results, then we have failed. We failed our children, we failed our community. So we need to look at what's going to be best for all of these kids. When we look at the total district and where we're putting children, where we're putting community, I think that's when we can come up with some decisions, because you're right, Ron, we have a lot of people that we're looking out to when we make this decision. But that state of the art is what gets me. I want them to have, because, if my 3-year-olds can turn on the computer, swipe across, and tell me, G-Mon, that's not working, then by the time they get to kindergarten, you guys, we're gonna have to do something else. We can't do the same old thing.
Okay.
Dr. Gillis, what if this board decides to close Garfield? Would we sell the building? Could the building be used elsewhere? Do we have thoughts about that? I don't know. Would it be storage? Would it be mothballed? Also, and even more importantly, we have 210 students that are currently Garfield students. Where would they go? Would they be would we have to, it's the R word, would we have to redistrict? What would that look like, looking ahead, if then?
Well, that's a great question. It does require an entire jigsaw of events. If you move from Garfield, where could they go? Well, they could go to Southwest perhaps, maybe, if, as a part of ESSER, you decide, well, let's build a pre-K center. Where could we build a pre-K center? Well, we have some options, but we could talk about that later. Well, with the students coming out of Southwest, we could send our students to Garfield. They'd have a great state-of-the-art building. We would do some other moves. What other moves could we do?
Southwest, you mean?
Southwest, build a pre-K center. There is a school that would make a great pre-K center, and we could address its HVAC issues and give it a gym so it would not have a cafegimatorium. But then we would need to move those schools, so it's an entire jigsaw puzzle, but we need the board to tell us what's the first piece.
So you're talking about moving all kinds of things.
In
But-
trying to accommodate the list of things that you guys told us were priorities for you.
But we will still be able to accommodate staff, am I right? Because there's a shortage of teachers, so we want people to know that up front.
Yes, well, that's a great
But
question.
we need to make sure we address that.
Very good. So if we were in fact to maybe mothball Garfield at this time, if the board decides that, well, that would kind of help us with our teacher shortage and definitely would help us with some of our SES needs, because we would be able to better allocate the staff to the buildings where maybe they are split.
What's SES?
Social emotional, our counselor, psych, social workers, we could better use the staff that we do have and wouldn't have so much of a shortage.
And I'm looking out here at your director's team,
And they're
your
all
administrative
nodding.
team, and they're going, that's right, that's right. And these are the people that are rolling up their sleeves day to day, working behind the scenes. And that's encouraging to have people nodding their heads like it's not just a crazy idea, that it could work.
Well, just based on what Mr. Truax said concerning Garfield and us investing $9 million and still not having the facility that we need, I think we really have to consider, not based on, our own personal or just even considering, that it has such a history and family connection, but what is best for the investment, how to invest it, and get the most for our money at this time. And as hard as that may be, we still really have to consider that investing $9 million there and still not have a facility that is state of the art, as hard as it is, hopefully, that information will get to our community in the sense of them not thinking, oh, okay, they're just closing another building for maybe reasons that they may think is minor, but that this is such a major investment. We want to try to spend our money while we have it to get the most for it.
Is it possible, so you guys did pick the hottest topic first, you really did. Is it possible
You're
maybe
welcome.
we could table that one and maybe do something different? Like, let's talk about Danville High School. Because there's some things that naturally lend itself into the ESSER money. Is that everybody okay with that?
Sure.
Okay.
As long as we start with the library.
Well, we could,
FCS lab.
okay, all right. Seems everybody's ready for that one.
The counseling suite.
At Danville, okay, well, you guys would have to prioritize.
And how about this? We'll
Go
give
ahead.
you the
Help me,
permission
Lord.
to guide us through this facilities. Okay, tell us where you want to
Okay.
go instead of letting us wander aimlessly through the facilities. Because if we have a more planned approach, we'll get through it faster.
All right, let's do
Okay.
that. All right, so Danville High School, what we could organically, I like that word, do with the ESSER money. We could address the science labs, the chemistry labs, the media center, and we talked about having a healthcare clinic type in Danville High School. And I can tell you that we have had the conversations with Southern Illinois Healthcare Foundation, who needed to talk to Carl, who needed to talk to OSF, who needed to come back to step up, and that circle has been completed. And we can get our clinic in Danville High School with a naturally going to a satellite office. Those things.
That's a huge thing. That's a big deal.
Do we have any money figures on that?
We do. For science labs and for science labs and chemistry labs, that would cost about $3.5 million. The media center, $2 million, and partnering with the $2.7 million that Southern Illinois Healthcare Foundation believes they could work with us. I think I would still need about like $500,000 to do what we need to do,
For the clinic.
particularly for the clinic and the tunnels.
Did you say tunnel?
Because there's some, yes, I would like to address some of the hallway issues downstairs. So let me say that again. Science labs and chemistry labs, 3.5. Media center, 2 million. And $500,000 for the health care clinic.
And the family consumer science lab?
So
We'll get there.
you could send me in that direction and I can get more quotes.
Please.
Oh, wait.
I thought we
Wait a minute. Oh, I need us to go back to our big desk.
two of us down there.
Skip, did we call that innovation lab? Is that the third, what's on the third floor?
The innovation lab is third floor.
Is that family?
The science, the food science that
Yeah.
Oh, that's food,
he's
okay.
talking about
Yes.
is
Yep, 1.4 million.
Okay.
for 2 rooms.
You have that over by the
238,
house.
239.
2 rooms. Yeah. Just
How much was that?
got everything.
Got
One point four.
1.4.
It was the south, southwest
It would be south
corner of the second
Ooh, I
floor.
need
and
to
the
spray
next
it,
room.
okay.
Both.
That's where they were before.
We're all interested in those things, aren't we?
Yes.
Right? We've been talking about them for a long time. We would love to see all of those things proceed.
So we can say, we
what
can
would-
put
At the
those on the
cost of
list?
Are we in the
Garfield
money?
School.
Why was the healthcare
Less.
only $500,000? I don't understand.
Because Southern Illinois Healthcare
Yes.
Foundation, Mr. Larry McCully has met with me and agreed to,
So we'll get some state money.
no, Southern Illinois Healthcare Foundation is coming to Danville.
Private money,
Mhm.
foundation.
So they're helping with the health,
They will become the health clinic,
yes.
So now.
because they're gonna do the plan is that they do a Aunt Martha's
I see.
2.0 for the community.
So now, from what you just gave us, Dr. Geddes, like Dr. Ashton said, where are we going with it?
If you all will agree, we can say yes, put that on the list, because it all fits with ESSER, and we can move to the next building.
Yes,
Yes.
let's put it on the
Yes.
list.
We don't need a roll call vote?
This committee.
No, 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 no.
Committee.
Yes.
Roll with
No, we
it.
just have to,
Because remember, I'm gonna put it into
this
the
is
plan.
not, these are not
Yes.
And
action
then you're
items.
gonna
These are-
approve the plan, so,
So you're talking about roughly the high school, $7.5 million.
oh, yep, okay.
Look what we did.
That's what
All
I'm
right.
looking for.
Now,
Can I
and
move?
here,
2.7.
they're gonna add all this up for us, trust me. And we may have to go back, folks, this is how this is gonna work. We may have to go back and go, you know what? Because we've done this before, where we go, I like everything. And you're gonna go, okay, and Skip's gonna go, that's $74 million, right? And he's laughing right now, and we're gonna go, and Bill's gonna go, you cut that out, and we're gonna have to budget somewhere, so.
And the numbers are fluid, so, this public meeting, those numbers are out there, and, I don't wanna hear in the community people saying, you all approved, $7 million improvement at the high school, because that's not exactly what happened here.
Right.
No.
Right.
No, this
What-
is just kind of strategic planning for facilities.
Yes, and this is giving Skip and the team direction to go get the numbers, to finalize, to put it in the plan and get direction. That's what we're doing, so
Now, is
this is
this,
not authorizing us.
And we're prioritizing as we go, and we may go back and cut something, so, but next.
So, Mr. Dobbles, if you let me do this one, I got you next, okay?
Okay.
All right, the next.
Skip had something, I mean, I don't have.
No, I'm gonna do another one project, and I know you and Hart have one project, and I have a project, but I'll do yours next, but I'm gonna do this one first, okay? All right. Next, that fits organically into chapter 1 would be the expansion of the alternative school,
KDBA.
KDB, Kenneth D. Bailey Academy.
Now, is Danville High School also part of chapter 1?
I can go back and tell you which chapter.
Okay, I don't know if that matters, but.
Kenneth D. Bailey,
And for the record, how long have we been talking about this item?
KDBA. Oh, since you guys remember, you went on the field trip to.
Yes.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay, longer than I thought it was.
Well, before that,
16.
14,
No, I was here 16.
1900. Something like that.
Okay.
Lincoln was here,
Yeah, I remember them well.
yeah. Oh, me too.
From data we have from the Small Insights Report and other data that we've collected, we know that providing some relief to Northridge with maybe having a middle school alternative program, a larger one, that would take some of the pressure off and address many of the items listed in the Small Insight Report. Mr. Truex went out and said, okay, we can get you about 6 classrooms, a gym, 2 bathrooms, a courtyard, and remodel the mechanicals. It has 10 rooms now, but remember, they are all rooms that have been cut in half. So, and we consistently are cited in health, life, safety, on the health, life, safety report for Kenneth KDBA. I'm gonna round up for you, Skip, $7 million.
no.
That's all?
Yep.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, can you tell us again,
Sure.
what will we get for $7 million?
Sure, it's getting hot in here.
Oh,
What,
So we would build an
he
addition.
said, hey, he's going, no, what,
Because
You
the
rounded-
number really is 6.778. We debate because I wanted 2 more classrooms then, so that's why I rounded him off to 7 million.
So 8,
7,
8.
6,
I'm good with it.
6 classrooms, gymnasium, 2 bathrooms, the courtyard between the high school and middle school and remodel the mechanicals
At the current site?
at the current site, and we have the space to do it. We have the people out.
Would that also remodel those classrooms that were cut in half to back to full classrooms?
No.
Oh, that's not.
If you give me some more money, I can.
I think
But,
that's-
but then my classrooms, I lose the 10, I'll be down to 5 if I do that. And then I'll need more. So no, it
We
does
can-
not.
We can look at it.
So could you look at that? What would it cost
Or we can
to
look at-
give us 8 classrooms, instead of the 6? What would it cost for that? You know,
8
if we
classrooms?
could really, expand it. We've got, because our alternative is, that's a really, really important area for our district and for our student population. So, maybe even give us, a couple different, and also, like Ms. Halloran said, getting those classrooms that are, and Mr. Henderson, getting those classrooms that have been cut in half, getting those expanded back to like a kind of a standard size.
Let me answer your question. I found my notes. Mr. Truex, see, I know you didn't want me to find. Mr. Truex said I can have 2 more classrooms for $650,000.
Oh, I love that idea.
That's before wood went up, though.
You're about.
No, this was last week. Don't help him.
We're using metal studs.
Do
for
not
sure.
help him.
Your 8 classrooms are gonna be around 2.8. Probably
Say that
3.
again. I couldn't hear you.
3 because steel's going up again, June 1st.
That's a
5%
flux
of it.
capitulator.
So what did you say, Mr. Truex?
It is.
For 2 more classrooms?
Mr. Truex
You're
said
right
2
there where
weeks
she said
ago,
originally.
$650,000 for 2 more classrooms.
You're gonna be right where she said originally if you add
So
those
how many for
classrooms.
4?
And that's if
How
we're
many for
shovel
4
ready
more
today.
classrooms?
1 point.
Yeah. Let's hope it all starts going down at some point, but it's not looking like it right now.
Oh, I like the idea. 8 new classrooms.
So 8 new classrooms, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, no, is
Here
that
we
what you
go.
guys?
We may have to go, here, I'm telling you, we're
I'll
gonna have
give
to
you
go
the
back
cost
and
for
cut.
6
That's
and
all
8.
right, we can go back, but 8 is.
So give me a
just-
total number for
Oh,
that.
people, if everyone could just go in and
8
see what's
classrooms?
happening in that building, it's
2.8.
so
2.8,
amazing
okay,
what
now-
we're doing
2.8.
for these
The
kids that
total bill for
need the
school
special,
with the modeling
attention.
and
Oh,
everything.
it's
8
amazing.
classrooms, $7.5 million.
A little over 8 million.
7.5 million for 8,
You wanted
plus
to
all
add
the other
8.
goodies.
He wanted what?
You added 8 classrooms.
6 was 7 million, Skip. 8 cannot, 8, no.
No, that 7 million, we're at 2 million just in mechanicals for
Skip.
HVAC.
6 classrooms, gym, 2 bathrooms, courtyard, and remodel the mechanicals is actually 6.778.
Okay, run that by me one more time.
$7.5 million. This, I'm sorry, this
It
is.
doesn't do any good, if these are
Right,
just
old time.
guesses anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Well, they're close. I mean, I've had engineering studies and architectural studies. I mean, we're pretty close.
7.5,
We did all
Skip.
this.
I would really
Right,
like to
I've been
see
doing this
us push
a
the
year.
envelope on alternatives as
Yeah.
much as we can with the space available. Just because we have a community that could really benefit from it. We have students that could really, really benefit from the class sizes that are consistent with the alternative program, and it is a very effective, such an effective building. So I would like to, please continue to inform us as this goes along of the maximum amount that you can get for us, Mr. Truex.
Could I also add one other thing, and Dr. Geddes and to the other board? We also spoke not too long ago about some of the lessons that COVID had taught us. And that we need to be looking at classroom space for those students that are still going to be remote. That that opportunity for remote learning. And, it may not be, so when we talked about the alternative school, and, I even mentioned earlier about, well, do we need to expand those rooms to be larger? Well, actually, if the teacher is going to be teaching a group of kids remote, those rooms would be ideal for that, because it would be a small space for the teacher to work through.
So we could
So
have
maybe
14
we don't
rooms.
need to expand those other rooms, is what I'm saying. If we are going to really be serious about having a remote option for some students in the alternative program.
I think
That's a great
remote
idea.
for not only
Great
our
point.
private,
So maybe we could
Well,
use those smaller classrooms for the remote, and maybe what I hear you saying is,
you're right.
it's more like 14 classrooms. Because we took the smaller classrooms,
And leave
mhm,
them as. Right.
Okay.
So we may or may not need that, but I guess what I heard Dr. Geddes and Mr. Truex say is that an expansion at KDBA to meet the needs that we believe it are necessary at this time, looking in the future, we're looking at somewhere between $7 to $7.5 million, as if we were, as we were budgeting.
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And when you're talking about remote learning, we have right now a homebound program that is all online. It's completely virtual, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about having a remote learning option, like a virtual academy, if you will, where we have a potentially that we're just envisioning here. So don't. Mr. Brown, don't be quoting me on this now. We have where we may have a first grade a teacher that teaches the first graders who are going to be remote learners. A second grade teacher that's actually teaching the remote learners. And, you know, and this is just, we're in the envisioning process of this, but it certainly would seem that KDBA would be the appropriate setting for that, since it's our alternative school. And that's I think something that we really need to consider. Mr. Henderson's talked about it, Ms. Holleran's talked about it, I've talked about it, and I know others are really thinking about it as well. That there are some students that have really thrived in the online environment. And that if we are going to make a move toward being able to do that, what great timing when we're already moving our technology to the point where we're able to do that. Ms. Hummel's back there, yes.
Okay.
So, sorry, go ahead, Doc.
Well, I hate to cut you off,
No,
but.
go ahead.
Yeah. So,
What's the next
anything else for KDBA?
No.
No, right? Next.
Pre-K center. There you go, Mr. Dowles and Mr. Hart. Okay. Now I'm just gonna share maybe one vision of what it could be.
A short vision.
Short vision. People have said, why don't you build one? In order for a school to build a new building, you do have to go out to referendum, even if you have the funds, unless you lease it. So that is why I didn't present that first, okay? Because we don't have time to go to referendum. So there is the possibility that we could move some of our programs around in the buildings. What I have heard as an idea is maybe to house the pre-K program at Northeast, Birth to Five program at Northeast, and transition Northeast to Liberty, and redistribute Liberty students, with Liberty students having the ability to attend, having the option to attend if they will adhere to the program at Northeast. And it would allow the Northeast program to grow. That is one concept that I've heard to get you a pre-K center. It is open for your discussion.
Mr. Hart, birth to five, you say I'm picking on your night, but okay.
I know, right?
Numbers,
But,
give me just approximate.
right
When
now,
when she
probably-
looks at that,
Not this year.
Yeah.
Typically, it'd be probably 375 between Edison and Southwest in our pre-K program, pre-K early childhood special ed. And then birth to three is, it's family caseload. So I think is it 15, Kelly, that they have to have?
It'd be 12 would be.
12, there you go.
PI. It's 375 at Southwest and 55 at
Edison.
Edison, so it's actually a little over 400 in our district.
Okay,
So
I'm
Northeast
gonna
isn't
ask the
even big
question,
And we have a wait list, so.
I'm gonna ask the question a little differently, Mr. Hart and
Sure.
Ms. Truex, is not the number of students, but the number of classrooms. And how many classrooms are at Northeast Elementary School versus how many classrooms we would need that with what we currently have as far as in the program. And, I'm kind of adding. So how many classrooms do we currently have at Northeast that would be available, classroom space?
16, I think it's 6, it may be 17 if you use the, like the teacher's lounge, so.
Okay, but you have to have a place for your home interventionist to
Right,
also.
And right now we have 12 classrooms at Southwest and 3 at Edison.
So we have 15 classrooms right now, and that does not include your home interventionist.
Well, wait, let me
So-
say, because you're on this. Northeast would need remodeling. It would need a gym, stage, a music room, 2 classrooms, 3 offices, 2 restrooms, a conference room, and a workroom, along with addressing the HVAC and the boilers for $6 million.
Thank you.
If we left it as Northeast as it currently is,
Even if you leave it as Northeast, we need to eventually, because the conversation for years has been that we don't need a cafeterium in the
Right.
building that
and
stresses
having the
physical
preschool
education.
there would have the same need because you would still need to have a physical space.
Breakfast and lunch is now, it's an
In-
option for kids, so you put it out, it's a center.
Yeah.
And kids choose if they eat breakfast or
Within the classroom.
within the classroom.
So they could then utilize the gym as a gym
Could use-
space.
Yes.
Okay. But I want to go back to my original comment was how many actual classrooms are available, not counting the media center or the gymnasium because again, you have to have a space for, how many home interventionists do we have?
We have 5, but they're all in one room right
That's right. So there goes a classroom or let's say the library. Okay? So and we currently have X number of classrooms. Right now, we have 15, and then I'm hearing that there are 15 rooms there, correct?
Dr. Geddes, what was
Said
that
14 to
addition?
17?
Huh?
What was that
We don't have
addition?
17.
To add a gym, the stage, the music room, 2 classrooms, 3 offices, 2 restrooms, a conference room, a workroom, to do the HVAC system and the boilers.
That
Yep.
would-
And we would do that if it was a pre-K center?
You would
Man,
have
you need to do that anymore. You need to do a lot of that.
We would have to have a music room for a pre-K center?
HVAC, excuse me?
It's in there.
He said, little kids don't sing.
We would need to have a music room if we had it as a pre-K center?
No,
No.
probably be in the room, Mr. Henderson.
That's, yeah, okay.
Everything's
Same
in
with the
room. Everything's
gymnasium.
choice, remember?
You need a gymnasium for pre-K?
Yes, you have to have gross motor activities every day.
Right.
That's our struggle, no matter where we are.
Does Liberty actually have,
They have a gym and a cafeteria.
but it's combined?
Nope.
There's
And it's actually very large.
At Southwest,
Same
it's
as Meade.
separate.
Meade's very large.
I just want to make certain that when we're talking about making a move of that nature, that there is, if we're going to have all of our pre-K in one place, then we need to make sure that there's room for all of our pre-K in one place.
And with location, I
And
would
if we are
assume-
not planning on expanding our pre-K, then we need to take that off the table so that no future grants or anything is written to expand because we would already be at maximum today. Correct?
Well, the whole plan is to expand
I-
the building.
So the 6 million takes expansion and modernizes the building. So for 6 million, we have expanded pre-K at Northeast.
And I
That's
still think you
the
could
point.
predict some money to help fund these things within the next 12 months. You know,
I think there,
it's out there, it's a real possibility.
Now you're going, no.
Right, but-
Oh, this is
We're gonna expand
additional
it.
money from what
Okay.
we currently have.
That,
yeah, we
that
actually use ESSER money.
figure and the gym and the music room and all that, that was to expand Northeast as Northeast.
Right.
Just as Northeast.
We may have to, yes, and you can still make it a pre-K center, but there will be some adjustments because it's hard to, pre-K is a different,
Well, it's very easy to, for example, you need a bathroom in every room. That would be one adjustment that would have to be made at Northeast.
pre-K is very, very, it's just a different beast.
Specific on what their
So the
requirements
6
are.
million is just to get Northeast up to where we would have wanted it before.
If it was-
With a audit, with the gym, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yes,
Okay.
if we want to make it a pre-K center, then there are some adjustments that will have to be made.
Right.
So 6 and change,
That could change some,
okay.
and will, probably.
Question from the crowd. If we go, for you, if we go to Liberty from, Northeast goes to Liberty, which would be the plan, right?
I think that's what's out there.
That's a I mean, it's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
Say if it were one of the things, no, I'm just imagining the new district in 3 years, okay? And I'm in Northeast. how do, the open concept work? Do we close it up? Do we keep it open? How does that work?
Build walls, is
I
that?
think Northeast, the concept itself of the magnet school lends itself better to an open concept school.
Do they think so?
We haven't had this, we have not had the permission to have this conversation with anyone, so,
Okay.
no.
Okay, we need,
So,
okay,
let me get this,
get permission then.
Dr. Ash, Mr. President, let me
Yes.
get this straight. So the numbers that Dr. Geddes brought, the 6 million, is to leave Northeast as Northeast as a K-6 center. That's why we would need the music room and the other
So some of
spaces.
those things you could,
If we made it into a pre-K center, then that's a different figure that would need to be determined. But then we would have the additional costs of Northeast staff at Liberty Elementary School, although they could accommodate it as is, correct?
as is.
We had a few, I thought it needed just a few tweaks.
Yeah, if you made it a pre-K center, you would, I mean, depending on how many.
No, he was talking about Liberty. I was saying
Oh,
Liberty.
Liberty,
I
yeah.
think it just, we need to put some money into it,
Okay.
if it goes.
But, because I guess I get back to Northeast, my original question was, if you left the building as it is, I mean, you would still have to put money in it because you gotta remodel to meet pre-K requirements. Will you have enough classrooms to meet our current needs? And would there be room to expand our pre-K program? What I heard was there's enough classrooms today, but not tomorrow. We would have to add on to Northeast in the future if we wanted to do any expansion of the pre-K program. Is that what I heard?
I think that was a fair summary.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Many positives about pre-K at Northeast, though. Central, it's centrally
Location,
located.
location.
Location,
I mean, it's
location.
all in one place. This solves, look, folks, this solves a lot of things that I'm scratching my head going, because I'm looking at all the things here. My first domino was Garfield, okay? I don't want to see Garfield go away, but Garfield may have to, okay? If it, I understand all this. But now the dominoes are starting to fall, and if the dominoes, and you have to look at it, is it for the better good of the whole district? And this, I mean, it makes sense. It is they've been agonizing over this for years, or for a year or two, okay? This isn't something that someone thought up 15 minutes ago. It's been discussed many times. We've all discussed this previously. But it does make sense. It does, Northeast makes sense as it. Whatever, I don't want to say whatever it costs, but I mean, we know that the 6 million is gonna have to probably be put into, to make Northeast the school that we kind of want.
Right.
Okay, so we kind of pretty well know that, but that kind of covers, it could be then used for pre-K, okay, with some
Or birth to
other
five.
alterations.
Birth to 5.
Yeah, yeah, yes, sir.
There's no
Yeah.
doubt that Northeast is your best base
And you had a pre-K.
going forward for that age group.
Because here, and then play the game, because where else are you gonna do it? Then do you start looking through all the other things? Are you gonna do Southwest? Are you gonna make someplace else? It's the one that kind of pops out. It's with the least intrusiveness to the rest of the district, by shuffling things around.
Yeah, and Dr. Ashton, I don't think anybody was on the board back when it actually was a pre-K center for a year without an administrator, and that was in the early 90s.
Wow.
They moved everybody there when they first reopened it. After it had been shuttered, they put a pre-K center there, but they had 2 off-site administrators, Mrs. Childs and Mrs. Gilbert, and it was not successful at all.
They did that after they unshuttered, when they opened it up,
It was
Yep.
used
Yep.
for 1 year as a pre-K center, and they determined that it was a failure because of the fact that, well, it just didn't work. And my opinion at that time was because you didn't have any leadership there in the building. And I would think if some of the teachers that might still be around would say the same thing.
Some of the equipment and facilities, just furniture size, is made for more that age child.
okay.
But Mr. Truex, you said that if it were a birth to 5 facility, the code says each room has to have a bathroom, which includes a whole lot of plumbing. Just off the top of your head, No, it doesn't include a
That's
lot
not
of
a
plumbing?
requirement.
No.
It's not a
It's
requirement.
a convenience.
It's a very nice to have. It is not a requirement.
When we were looking at Head Start coming into our buildings, remember that was one of the reasons that got shot down, because we didn't have classrooms with bathrooms that, and am I right? I didn't dream that, right?
I don't think it's a requirement of Head Start.
Head Start.
No,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway, my real question is, what would your guesstimate be if we were to refurbish Northeast as a birth to five center? We know it's $6 million to bring it up to where we want it to be as an elementary building, but
that's kind of difficult to say. It depends on how many, I mean, you could put the restrooms back to back. So, you have 15 classrooms, so you're probably looking at, I don't know, another couple million.
And would that be for our current census and our birth to five kids, or would that be including the expansion that we're wanting to do? That's current. So, I mean, I know we have 11 acres out there, so do we need to
I mean,
look at?
if you wanted to, you could come off the end of that building and build onto it and build
So that would be a possibility also. If the community needed and we decided to do
without
that.
being held to it, I want to find out myself about what it would take to add the restrooms and the classrooms. And then I'll get back to you on that. But I'm saying it would probably be a couple $1 million over.
I think Mr. Trex, and I know, Kelly, you were the principal there, isn't there at least 4, if not 6 classrooms that already have restrooms,
All
correct?
the early primary.
Yeah, when you first come in to the, you go to the north.
Be
We
nice
need-
for ECSE. I said it'd be nice for our ECSE program.
Yeah.
And those
What is
classrooms are on that new
ECSE,
addition
Mr.
on
Hart?
the
Sorry,
east.
early childhood special education.
Thank you.
thank you, Dr. Gibbs.
Those are the new classrooms on the east side.
And again, it's a fully accessible building.
That's a new wing.
Okay, so we've got this, okay? And then Northeast would go to possibly Liberty, which would require some work done to Liberty, but not major because that facility is in pretty good shape already. Okay, that next cog in the wheel, is there more? We already did this,
Did those.
okay?
We did pre-K, and Mr. Hart is right. There is talk between the Illinois State Board of Education and all of our organizations that there will be additional money that is focused on pre-K or birth to 3. So we do expect that there'll be
It's in the
another.
P20.
Okay,
So they'll pick up the tab probably.
Talk to Grants.
Kelly?
And Kelly.
Write another grant.
Yeah, start writing.
there is one other thing that I would just like to add for your consideration. This is totally a get us and skip thing, but let's put this out there. There is the
Dropped his head. He's saying, don't put
Oh,
it in that.
no, he's in it. He's in it. There is the possibility that we could take the cafeteria at Danville High School out of the basement and bring it to life and bring it up, add it to the side, don't ask me east-west, the side by the tower.
South.
Add it there and make it fully functioning to serve adequately when we have games, etc. Skip had the vision. We could then take I'm gonna say basement, the downstairs, and repurpose it for our life skills program because the plumbing is there. We could do teaching the toileting. What is the word? Toilet hygiene, and we could do many of the skills that they would like to have in that house. And there's a kitchen down there.
Okay, back up.
Okay,
You
It's
take
way out
the
there.
cafeteria and put it where?
we could build it to the side
Yeah.
by the field
Around
in
by
the- in
the
the-
field house.
with light and air and
Concession stand.
courtyard and the concession stands that work. And then with our new food science program, ultimately, one day maybe we do catering and my students learn to be the catering like centers like they did in Denver. Would love that.
That would be cool. So we
And
would
so-
expand our food service area to that area as well, or not food service, but our food science.
I
Skip, is
love the
kitchen-
idea, but the number one impediment that I see that would have to be corrected if you're going to move the life skills program down there is you need an ADA compliant ramp and not the current one that is utilized for loading and unloading food. Because they would need to have another access point to be able to get out of the building without having to rely on an elevator. So to me, that would be an impediment that would have to be looked at initially because, excuse me?
It wouldn't be, their classrooms wouldn't be moved down there, they would just access those.
You still have to have an emergency situation, you need to be able to get the students out of the building. We don't want them trapped in the basement. So, no, it would just be an area that they could set up for housekeeping and all those things. I think that's a great idea. I just want to make sure that we can get them out of the building because the ramp that is there, Skip, would not be ADA compliant.
Which ramp?
The one that you used for loading and unloading over, coming off of Jackson Street. Because there's no
Oh,
other
out
way.
the front?
Yeah.
I was thinking more the back.
Is there a way to get out that way?
Yeah, we wouldn't even have the dumpster there. There would be a way you just, it's all level. You just
Okay,
walk right out.
all right. I just want to, because I'm thinking that that's not accessible right at this point in time. We just need to have a plan for exiting
Yeah.
if there was an
They,
emergency.
they could exit there. They could
Okay.
also exit,
Otherwise, I'm all in.
yeah,
And the question though is,
the cost.
how much?
How much, Skip?
Oh, 20 million.
No,
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 this is, you're gonna love this number.
no.
Less than $4 million.
How much?
4 million, less than $4 million.
That's all?
See, this is what happened. That's all?
No, in
That's-
the sense that when you say cafeteria moving and, I mean, I was thinking the 20 million, yeah, that's what I was.
So Dr. Gittes.
Yes, sir.
At this point, and what we talked about this evening, how much money?
I don't know. I think I figured it up at one point and I was like around 30 million or 31 million.
We have that.
But but I was also figuring, I actually had a cost in there of 12 to 15 for a new pre-K center somewhere. Stuck that in there.
But I
Not in the
reminded you,
30s, son, but
because we talked about the possibility of the vacant land that we already own opposite of Danville High School.
Right.
And then I pulled the legislation to remind you, the district would need to do a referendum
I
to do
know,
that.
I know.
One thing.
The
we
one thing
didn't-
about the cafeteria though, it would be bright and open with windows. It would also be utilized as a concession stand on the backside. It would be safe. Even the outdoor area that would be for open air seating and eating, it would be enclosed, but it would still be open air.
So like the center of it, you could
Yeah,
have a
yeah, there would be like a,
Longer way to walk for concessions.
Yeah.
Was the kitchen there? Would the kitchen be in that area then also? So that's all gone from, so everything's moved up.
How much square footage are you looking at, Skip? Or Mr. Truex? Because that would be pretty good size if you're.
it is, hang on, I figured that at one point, hold on a
So
second.
it would take up,
I'm like-
would we go all the way to the tracks then?
No,
Ooh, sorry.
no,
Okay.
no. It would be, to give you a visual, it would be
I did.
about 2.5 times the size
Remind
of
me of that. Say
Northridge
that.
Cafeteria,
So you can tell me too.
just the seating area without the outdoor
Okay,
and without the kitchen,
okay.
which,
I
you
knew
know,
I had
it's
it.
figured on seating 354, I forgot what it was now, I'd have to look it up, but kind of caught me off guard on that.
And then what about the logistics of children? Because that would be all the way at the other end.
Yeah, but actually, there would be a new walkway on the west side of the field house.
Okay.
So it would be windows and
So
there'd
that
be
would
a wide
alleviate the
walkway.
congestion that we have.
And it would be ADA, so everybody could come through there. It's also helps utilize the field house, so the kids have a way to get in out of the weather before they come into the building
Okay.
or a place to stage.
And then the congestion that we have at the
Have you
T
been by
junction
there in
would be
the morning when
eliminated
they're all standing
because,
out there in the?
because we'd have that other walkway would eliminate some of the congestion at the T junction.
Mhm.
Or when not the T, it's where the gymnasium, the stairwell, the music.
The
all that
one-way
comes
hallway and
together.
all that area.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I had one more thing, I just wanted to ask about CTE, because Dr. Geddes had mentioned that in the beginning. Will our expanding, if we decide to expand CTE with our ESSER funds, will that require facility adjustments as well?
They're actually pretty crowded down there now, but I
Yeah.
think with some more redesigning of each individual room, I think that they'll be able to be accommodated. I know that Mr. Heil has some ideas of some rooms going upward towards the next floor or so, but I'm not sure where that's at yet, or if
You're
he's
talking
talked
about
to
the
you.
innovation labs
Yes.
and the, it's manufacturing proposal, innovation lab. All of it was put on hold until we developed this plan, but obviously, those things,
Mhm.
and obviously, we have we have this money that could support that, but we dedicate a tremendous amount of my local budget and Title IV to support CTE. Now, any facilities piece, Skip and I work together, but those are, I mean, we have done a lot to expand their facilities already.
Right.
And so anything we do with ESSER that's put into the plan will probably be minor compared to what you're talking about, like major overhauls to buildings and things.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've
It
done
might be, we need to upgrade the electrical in a space because we're gonna open it up and it's gonna be part of the innovation lab.
And
The thing about CTE is it's always a little bit at a time too. You know, each time they get some different equipment or new equipment, then Mr. Heil, he'll contact me. You know, I'll look at it and decide what we need to do with electrical, ventilation or whatever, and then, you know, we just kind of put the wheels in motion, get it taken care of, and, you know, little bits at a time. It works.
So we've got the space to do the innovation lab project. We've got the ability to do that piece by piece, as far as your vision for where we're headed with that.
Yes.
Okay,
and Dr. Kobe,
Yeah.
I think that'll afford to that.
okay,
Usually around,
Yeah.
okay.
and that's
and again, a reminder, when that addition was added in the early 90s, the understanding was that that area was going to be used for career technical education, first floor and second floor. I mean, and what has occurred over time is with the diminishing use of career technical education classrooms, other classrooms went in there. There was social studies classroom upstairs, English classrooms, et cetera. So certainly if those rooms were moved back into the main building, then there is plenty of room to expand the CTE program. Because, like I said, social studies, English, et cetera, were put in those classrooms as well. And the
that's-
music room as well.
And that's the idea.
And music's already been moved.
Yes, that's
So-
the idea of building the wing back up
Right.
to its former day.
Right, because that's how it was designed initially, was to be a wing for career technical education.
So we haven't said no to anything this evening. Notice that we've liked everything that has been put before us, and so we've bought the whole kit and caboodle, shall they say, for a grand total of $30 million, or right? That's what the whole thing is. If you guys are willing to spend $30 million, do we have $30 million to spend for this?
The amount of our ESSER 3 allocation, Kelly?
31,468,860.
So we just did it all.
31.5.
Good job, board.
So I have one last question, Dr. Ashton.
Yes.
For Mr. Truax.
Oh,
What's
there's
the
more.
estimated cost for a demolition of a Cannon school?
I happen to have that. Look, see, you have
Would it
to
happen
stay-
to be $1.4 million?
No.
Wow.
You're gonna be at $500,000 though.
Dated 1/30/2020, Dr. Geddes, 2 years ago, the estimated cost was around $375,000. As of today, based on rough estimates provided by the demolition contractors, we will be closer to $500,000.
All right.
I have to keep all my papers,
Thank you,
Skip.
thank you, Dr. Geddes.
Because when I talk to him next week, it'll be $675,000.
Get it gone.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, get it gone. Get it gone. Okay.
Oh, wait, what, do what?
The-
What did you say?
Get it gone. No,
Oh.
just saying.
Okay.
Get it gone. Do you need these things prioritized by us, or are you going to prioritize them for us?
You guys actually prioritized it. That was prioritizing that very long list, and so we can get it all in there.
So,
We will bring it back to you with some beautiful drawings and narratives, etc.
Okay, so, and we discussed closing Garfield, do we agree on that, or are we going to have some action for that, or?
No, we'll have to have action.
We'll have to have public comments and things like that as well.
Well, I understand that we're not just go closing out, but, I mean, is there, I mean, I'm gonna express my extreme dissent that I wish we didn't have to close Garfield, but it appears it appears to be the fait accompli that it is going to happen. It's pretty hard to build the case for keeping it.
From the health, life, safety report, I know we have, to address the health, life, safety A and B items that are prioritized, that's $3.5 million that mandated, like now.
And that's to
That
keep it
doesn't,
open
that's
for next year.
budgeted though, that doesn't
That's
come out
just
of
to keep it
ESSER.
open.
No, that would have to come out of district funds.
Right.
So it's like, okay, if you're saying we're gonna keep and build, then there'll be another conversation for another $9 million. That was not part of this.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, all right.
We got
got
that.
that.
And so the decision to, yeah, and they close, when would the closing be?
Ooh, we're not even there.
No.
No, we're not
Yeah, we have
even
no
there.
idea. You have the idea?
We will have to eventually talk soon because I have to address health, life, safety A and B
Well,
items,
that's what I'm
and I'll
saying.
need $3
Yeah.
million to
Three
do it.
and
So
$3.5 million?
we would have to talk about I would say within this school year or the next.
Whatever happened, yeah, I was gonna say, because we used to be able to petition for exemption for health and life safety items year by year. That still doesn't exist? Does that still exist? Anyone know? No?
I-
You don't?
I-
I don't know.
I've never heard, I
Okay.
didn't hear of that. I do know you have to address them. That's why they're categorized A and B.
Your
And
A's
we-
we have to do.
The A's we have to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's some of the items that
Well, you can just
we
keep
we
pushing
would,
them off.
yeah, we would push, we would definitely push off and push off and push off.
We just
push
keep
off.
pushing them off.
Well, I'm not in favor of $3 million into a project that we're not gonna, that we're gonna,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't think
right.
any of us are. We're
Okay.
not gonna, put
Dora.
through.
Could you say that again? I'm sorry.
I'm not in favor of investing $3 million to take care of life safety issues in a building that we may not keep.
Oh, okay, I just
Yeah,
couldn't.
sorry.
So if it means we need to close it earlier, then that's what we would usually do.
Okay. Are there any other facilities comments that need to be or want to be made at this time? Okay, seeing none. Okay, we are going to call an end to this facilities meeting, and we are going to be going back into closed session for our purpose of going into closed session. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you whenever you'd like to join us next. Hopefully next week.
Good job, Chris.
Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen,